Matt, the flyweight division is absolutely on fire, and this next one shouldn't disappoint between Jordan Espinosa and Bumblebee, Mark De La Rosa. Matt, let me start off the video by saying this. These guys both have a kryptonite. It's the same. It's Alex Perez. He's got to win over both of them. And for Jordan Espinosa on a 2-fight streak, not a good one, a losing streak, to Matt Schnell and the aforementioned Perez. If you look over on the other side, Mark De La Rosa, we're talking Perez. We're talking Kai France, and we're also talking about Raulian Paiva, who I think is an awesome striker and a guy to watch out for in this division. And like I said, it's a really interesting flyweight conundrum that we have because it seems to be one of the busiest divisions right now in the sport. This fight is made up of a couple of different pieces, and I want to just preface this by saying Jordan Espinosa, a pretty good wrestler, and his UFC career has kind of been all right. Like I said, 2-fight losing streak. For Mark De La Rosa, he came in 2 wins over Elias Garcia, and then he beat Joby Sanchez, but neither one of those guys are in the UFC anymore, and he's lost 3 in a row. What do you make of this, and what do you see stylistically in this matchup that would interest the fans?
I mean, you kind of set it up perfectly. Both guys do pretty much the same thing. Both guys are good wrestlers who don't have great submission defense. And I think that's going to be a really big issue just moving forward in their UFC careers. Because like you said, we're kind of seeing the flyweight division. It was almost cut completely. Now we're kind of seeing this whole like metamorphosis of the division. They brought back Moreno. All these young guys, the Pantosias, the Perezes, the Morenos, they're absolute killers who can do everything. And that's the problem that both these guys are going to face. You're dealing with guys at the top of the division who have volume, legit power all of a sudden. Like there's a lot of knockouts in that division. Amazing ground games, a lot of scrambles. And if you don't have those, top tier skill sets, you're not going to make it even into the top 10 anymore in the division. And at one point you could see, not mediocre fighters, but fighters who you definitely didn't deserve seeing.
Neil Seary, and he didn't even fight with the UFC and he was ranked.
Exactly. Like it's just the flyweight division's gone under a really weird change over the last couple of years. And I think that Mark De La Rosa kind of reminds me of the new Tim Elliott. And it's kind of weird, too, because that was his first fight in the UFC and he got submitted. But he's kind of wonky. He's a good wrestler, but he gets submitted a lot. And Jordan Espinosa, same thing. So it's just going to come down to who's the better wrestler overall. I think Espinosa has the better wrestling. I do think De La Rosa has the better cardio out of the two. So it's really going to be what gives up first. Can De La Rosa last long enough so that his cardio is an advantage? Or can Espinosa grind him out, damage him enough to the point where his cardio advantage isn't going to play such a factor? I've been back and forth on this fight quite a bit. And I do think Mark De La Rosa actually has a pretty good chance of snapping his losing streak and getting back on the winning track.
Matt, I'm very surprised you said that. I'm going to get into the odds very quickly. Espinosa minus 160 favorite. Mark De La Rosa, the slight underdog, plus 130. On Topology at a 474 votes, 75% going with Espinosa, the large majority being 80% predicting a decision. Now, I hate to always go with the trends, and it seems that way 6 fights into this card, but I do definitely see it the way of Jordan Espinosa. He definitely has a speed advantage over a lot of different guys on the feet. But it's his wrestling that really wins out. And with Mark De La Rosa, maybe a little bit more power in his hands, but it's not that he's labored. It's just that he never really puts together much for combinations. And if you're going to point and you're going to try and, grind out a decision win here, I don't think everything in those regards, I don't really think there's much that favors Mark De La Rosa in this one.
I think he'll be able to make it a scramble fest. He's going to make it one of those ugly fights where Espinosa is going to go for the takedowns, but if he can't secure them and get a really dominant position right away, De La Rosa is going to find a way back up to his feet. So I think it will be an interesting fight. I think it should be pretty good while it lasts. And I say De La Rosa, this is very much flip of a coin because like we've kind of said throughout, both guys have very similar skill sets. But I do think De La Rosa is going to be able to pull off the win as the underdog.
Matt, I love disagreeing with you, and I can't wait to prove you wrong. So Matt's going to go with Mark De La Rosa. I'm going with Jordan Espinosa. You're not going to want to miss the rest of the predictions for this card. 2 minutes for the main card, 2 minutes for the prelims, 5 minutes for our main event between Evil Eye and Cynthia Calvillo. And Matt, as we always say with Fight Night picks, let's get into it.